Hello and welcome everybody to my May 2023 Paper Pumpkin alternate card ideas video. This is the first video of alternate card ideas here. And what you are seeing me do right now, as you can see, we're jumping right in, is I'm taking the 3 card bases. There are 3 different designs, 9 cards, I believe, in this kit, and we're going to double that. So for the sake of this video here, I'm cutting the card bases in half. That is where I am starting. And I'm going to give you guys some different ideas today of what you can do with your paper pumpkin kit and how I came about creating these particular alternate card designs. I absolutely love that they actually create this whole scene. And for those of you who, you're memory keepers or you're into journaling, I think that this kit could be really awesome, all as one piece. But if for the sake of card making, we can definitely double up on the amount of cards that we get if we cut those card bases in half. I just love that they have scenes on actually both sides of the card. They also have scenes on the envelopes, and I'll show you what I ended up doing with those as well. I have a lot of different ideas for them, but for this video here, we're just gonna do our best to show some fun ideas. So this first one is called a faux window card. We're going to create the look of a window pane with the images from this Stampin' Up paper pumpkin kit. And what I'm doing here is I'm actually creating basic white card bases, and that's because I wanted a basic white card base, and I'm going to use the card front that we just cut in half from the paper pumpkin kit. I am going to use that as a layer to create the scene. So that's where we're going to start. And here you can see this is the scene that we are going to cut together. And if I haven't mentioned it already, there is going to be a free project sheet that you can download if you are looking for the measurements and the products used, the alternate products used with this kit. So I will have a link with the free project sheet link in the description box below this video here if you're looking for measurements. So the first thing that I am doing here is I am actually trimming this layer down. And the reason why I was doing this in very thin increments was initially I was going to do 4 by 5 1/4 layer, and I do that for a couple of different cards, but for my window pane card, for the faux window cards, I ended up making it a little bit smaller than that. You can see here I'm going down to 3 3/4, I believe. I'll get you the official measurements. I actually did write it down, and as I'm looking around, I don't see my Post-it, but you can see here 3 3/4 by, I believe it was 4 1/2. Yes, 3 3/4 by 4 1/2. So that is where the layer is actually going to start. And so here you can see I'm just sort of sizing it up, but what we're going to do is when we create this faux window look, we're going to be spreading the image out a little bit. So here's what I ended up doing for my particular measurements, and this is what's going to be reflected in my project sheet. I did 3/4 inch strips, so not a full inch, 3/4 of an inch. And I ended up with 5 of them. So we're going to cut this in 2 directions. This is the first one. And the reason why I am keeping this scene intact is because it can be very easy to confuse your pieces. And this is a great way to keep track of that. And you'll see in just a minute what I did. And I actually left it in the video because I wanted you to see that when you're creating something like this, it's very easy to kind of get confused with the scene, and it's easy to fix. But this is a good way to keep track of what you're doing. Now, in the other direction, so once your 5 strips are cut in the 3/4 inch size, you're going to take those strips and you're going to cut them down to 1 1/2 inches each, and you'll end up with 3 of those per strip. So 1 1/2 inch each one. And so there is the basic white card base. And what I'm doing is I'm playing with the layout. And can you see how I had that upside down, just that single piece? I mean, it happens that fast. So it's easy to fix once you're eyeballing it and seeing it. And when you're doing those initial strips, like the very first strip, you kind of can't see it as well. But as soon as you start building it out, it becomes very clear. So this is a fun technique. Now, there are a lot of pieces involved with this, but really all it is your paper trimmer. You supply your own card base in this case, and then you just use the kit components to make the rest of your card. So for those of you who really like to keep it a little on the simpler side, or you like a really clean look on your card, or if you like a flat card, meaning a card that doesn't cost extra postage to mail, then you're going to love this one. These are on the simpler side. So you can see I'm just following that pattern. And can you see the way that that faux window technique is sort of building in? Now you can decide, and if you want to keep this very precise, you can do that too. You could take a pencil, you could create a grid, or you could do, little pencil marks that you could erase later. If any of you have done this technique and you do this in a more technical way, please share in the comments. I will confess to all of you that I am not very precise. I do try to keep my measurements correct. But in terms of getting my spaces between these window pane, absolutely perfect, I did not do that. So I just eyeballed it. And, you can just play with it and see. If you want that to be precise, you could probably do I know that they do that technique with it's not called saran wrap. It's stickier than that. I can't think of what it's called, but you might be able to do a technique like that way. But for me, I wasn't too concerned with the spacing being perfect, but what I wanted to try to do was about 1/8 of an inch between each window panel, right? And so you can still see the whole scene, the whole paper pumpkin scene. And my whole thing about this kit so far with my alternates is that I wanted to maintain the artwork. I really wanted to try to find ways to kind of spotlight the artwork and not take away from the artwork. So for me, it was really about simpler alternates, if that makes sense this time around, where we still see the entire scene. We're just doing a little bit of a fun technique here for that scene. And then I actually did that with all 3 card layouts. So I only did one side of each card, but of course you could do both if you would want to. So here, as I'm putting my roller down, I'm just trying to decide how much space I wanted between my panels. Did I want 1/16 of an inch? Did I want 1/8 of an inch? And you can see that by having about 1/8 of an inch in between each panel, it goes, really nice size-wise with your card layout. And this card layout is the standard A2 size. So this particular piece was basic white cardstock, and it was cut to 5.5 by 8.5, and then scored at 4.25. If you're using a full sheet of 8.5 by 11 cardstock, then you just score the whole thing at 4.25 inches, and then you just cut at the 5.5 inch mark, and you'll get 2 card bases out of that. And so, that's a really economical way, especially using your multi-purpose glue, also economical. So these are nice, clean, flat, fun technique cards that you can do, and then really show off that artwork, which I have heard from so many of you. I'm so grateful for all of your comments and likes and everything on the last 2 videos regarding this kit. This kit is hugely, wildly popular. And everybody has just been singing the praises of the artist who created these scenes. And I have to agree. So there was an add-on for this particular month. The Exploring in Color cards and envelopes, if they are still available, I'll have to double check that. But if they are, I will put a product link in the comments not in the comments, I'm sorry, in the description box below, if there is, and then I'll also make sure I have that on the blog for you. But you can see here, just as you go and as you start to build this out, it's easier to kind of find those lines. And with white being the background, it stands out very easily, like against the scene. But I was really happy with the way that this technique turned out. And I don't know if anybody else, has videos out trying this, but I would think that this would be a pretty popular technique for this particular card kit because the scenes are so great. And if you do spend any time in beautiful places like this, everything's bigger. That's what I've noticed. The windows are bigger, the scenes, everything, that the homes, it's just more sprawling and large. So I felt like I could get away with a 5 window pane panel card. I just didn't want to get rid of any of the scene. I wanted to show it off in whatever way I could. And the way that this measurement turned out for this card, we're able to very easily use the stamps from the kit to stamp our sentiments or our greetings at the bottom, just underneath the card panel. So that's really nice too. Now, I love the stamp set that came in this month's kit. This happy birthday sentiment was actually from the kit. And in a minute, you'll see me going through the process that I do typically with each kit when I start to create alternates where I'm stamping everything out and I'm doing all the coordinating colors. So ahead of time, I pulled all of the ink colors that coordinated with this month's kit. And the majority of the colors are our new in color collection, the 2023-2025 in color collection. This is Boho Blue, which we're going to be using for this happy birthday stamp. And you can see down at the bottom, it fits really nicely, nice and clean. I would say this would be a gender neutral card. This could very well be for, guys, girls, just whoever out there appreciates nature. So this is the next scene card that we are going to be working with here, but it's the same exact process, technique, measurements, cuts for each of the 3 cards. So what you'll see is me actually cutting to the finished version of all 3 of these cards, and then we'll go on to the next few projects that we're going to create here. Okay, yeah, I just figured that this, in terms of saving time, you get the idea here. But here are all 3 versions of the card, and then all 3 of the stamped, greetings at the bottom are from the paper pumpkin kit. That die cut binoculars that's on that second card there, that is also from the paper pumpkin kit. So these first round of alternate cards really stayed very close to the components from the actual paper pumpkin kit. So minimal products used. I would definitely recommend a paper trimmer, some kind of a paper cutter so that you can create your faux window scene. I would also recommend cardstock, and I do think it would be easier to use like a multi-purpose glue for these, but of course you could always use your adhesive dots from the kit. If you have, if you prefer adhesive runners like Seal or Seal Plus, those would be great too. And if you want those to have a pop to them, you could actually use dimensionals with each panel. Okay, so for this next part, this is something that I like to include in all of my alternate videos, just in case anybody here is here for the first time. If you are new here, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you. If you're returning, let me know if you are back and if you've gotten your paper pumpkin kit, if you're making alternates with it. I would love to hear from you. What I am doing here is I am taking all of the stamps from the paper pumpkin kit and I am stamping them all in copper clay. That was the color color that came with the kit. I am using my full-size ink pad as opposed to the ink spot that comes in the kit. I just find it easier to do that. But this way I can get a feel for all of the images and the words and the fonts, and it just really helps to stamp each one of the images and just kind of warm up the stamps, get an idea for the way each one looks when it's stamped out. And this will really help. This will go a long way in terms of creating your alternate projects. This isn't something that you have to do, but this is something that I pretty much do every single month with my paper pumpkin kits, because I believe that these stamps from these kits are just as good as if you were buying them individually in a catalog, right? Now, the next thing that I like to do, I usually will take one of the images from the paper pumpkin kit, in this case, the mug. That's like that classic, camper mug that everybody has when they go camping. And I love the artwork on that, but I stamp it in all of the coordinating colors. So on the back of your instruction sheet, they always list the coordinating colors that they've used in the kit. And so what I'm doing is I grabbed all of my ink pads in those colors and I'm stamping them all out in the cup. The cup was like, it used a lot of ink, and I like that when I'm stamping. And then that helps me figure out in terms of design which colors I want to use. Now, if you are just starting to build your collection and you don't have all of the colors, don't worry about pulling out every single color, getting it exactly right. It's not about that, but if you have 2 or 3 colors, let's say you have copper clay, maybe you have daffodil delight, maybe you have mossy meadow. So whichever colors you have, just pull a couple of them out. Just pull out, the cardstock in those colors, pull out the ink pads in those colors. And that will also go a long way in terms of creating alternate projects. This is a great way to get moving with the creative process. So the colors that you're looking at there are boho blue, copper clay, daffodil delight, moody mauve, mossy meadow, pebbled path, and wild wheat. Those are the coordinating colors for this month's kit, and we are going to be using those for our alternate projects throughout the rest of this video. Okay, so this next part, I had a lot of difficulty filming. This was not recorded live. This was pre-recorded. I'll talk a little bit more about changes in my schedule later. But for right now, let's keep going with the ideas from the paper pumpkin. So what I'm doing here is I am trimming down my envelope so that I'm just getting this front sheet. And that's because we are going to turn these into tags. And my thought process behind that, and you don't have to do tags, but my thought process behind this was I wanted to try to maximize the fact that they had this artwork at the bottom and that there was all of that clean white space at the top. If you want to leave them as envelopes, I think that would be great. These are the in color dots, the 2023-2025 in color dots that coordinate. These are the 2023-2025 treat bags, the in color treat bags. And I will be sure that I have all of that product information listed. The Exploring in color cards and envelopes add-on had these full color envelopes. You're looking at one of them right there off to the side. They were in moody mauve, boho blue, and copper clay. And here are the add-on cards right here. And one side was the scene, the other side was one of the in colors. And what I had done in the add-on video, and I can link that video link here if anybody's interested in seeing that. I'll put it in the description box below as well. I'm cutting and creating the, keeping these scenes too. So we really doubled up on the artwork from the kit. So the kit cards themselves have these beautiful scenes on both sides of the panels, and on the add-ons we have these beautiful scenes on one side of each of the panels, and then we have these great layers that we can use for other things. So I am cutting those pieces up. I'm cutting up the envelopes from the kit, I'm cutting up the add-ons, I cut the card bases from the kit in half, and we're really going to sort of turn that into a lot more of the kit. So we're just using it in different ways, but I wanted to try to maintain the seam. Now, one of my favorite things to do, particularly when it comes to trying to keep a seam, is I will take my dies and I will just run them over the image to see, when I am finding a space that I really like the way that it's framed out. And then that's how I will cut it. This helps you get a feel for what size die to use. Here are the dies I should mention. These are the tailored tag dies, I believe, and I'll put information on the blog about these. I will also have all of that listed on the project sheet as well. I also used the nested essentials dies for this. So once you grab your scenes here, you're going to take your dies, whichever ones you choose, and we're going to try to keep the integrity of the scene, but we're going to cut it out in two shapes, right? We're going to use it in different ways. Now, we have Father's Day coming up. I know that summer is absolutely huge for birthdays, anniversaries, different, celebrations. A lot of people are graduating, and a lot of graduates usually go on a trip, or they're going to go to school somewhere else. If they're going on to college or if they're going on to graduate school, just depending on where people are in their lives. So many people love the outdoors. And so I think that this kit can be used to celebrate all of those different occasions, both because of what was provided with the stamps in the kit, but also just because of the theme of the kit too. So when I was coming up with ideas for alternates, one of the things that I really wanted to do was turn the envelopes into gift tags. And you'll see me doing that soon. So I am going to be doing a little bit of embossing as well. So what you're seeing here, just in case, if you've only, worked with paper pumpkin kits and you haven't really started venturing out into the bigger tools yet, let me just tell you what these things are. So this is our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. I am using a 3D embossing folder right now with plates 1 and 4. This is that 3D twisted rope embossing folder. This is a new embossing folder. This is actually part of the Gone Fishing or Let's Go Fishing collection, I think is what it's called, the suite. And again, I'll have all that information listed. And what I'm doing is I'm taking those layers from the add-on cards, so that other side of the card, and then I'm just in boho blue, moody mauve, and copper clay. I am just embossing all of them with the same embossing folder. One of the reasons that I do this is so that if I want to add texture or if I want to incorporate it as a layer or a piece later, I can do that. So right now it wasn't necessarily like, oh, I know exactly what I'm going to use this for. I just wanted to emboss those pieces and then, kind of go back and check later. The other thing, and this is the Moody Mauve. Isn't that cool? I just love this color, you guys. I cannot get over it. So these are those new in colors. And then this is the twine from the kit. And the funny thing is, I was actually filming in a different location. This is that jute twine that I was telling you guys about. So this is also available in the new In Color collection 2023 to 2025. You're looking at boho blue here. And I had no idea how close I was to the camera. But what I'm trying to show you is the texture between the textured, like the 3D rope, and then the actual texture of the twine, which I think is going to be an absolutely great combination for this kit. If you guys happen to have those products, or if you're interested in getting those, I think that they are such a great addition. Now, here again, I was filming on my kitchen island, which I don't normally film, and I did not realize how close up my camera was. But I do think there's an advantage here, at least with showing you the way that I position my dies so that I am capturing the essence of the scene that the artist from the Paper Pumpkin team created. So I wanted a little bit of sky, I wanted a little bit of mountain, and I wanted a little bit of those rolling hills on each one of those tags. And the concept here, these are called tailor-made tags, and you can see they have two different sort of styles to them, and they both have that stitching detail to it, which you get all in one pass when you die cut them with the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Okay, and then just very quickly before I go any further, it is not your screen that has that little mute button on it. It is mine, and I could not get it removed, but I did not want to refilm this just because I was short on time. So I just want to apologize that you guys are seeing this little mute image. It was an error on my part. So it's not on the screen long. If you just bear with me for a minute and then you'll see. We're gonna scoot right past this. I just wanted to show you the way that I cut the tags from the envelopes. And then these are those nested essentials dies. And I wanted to cut out a few images from the card bases as well. Just different ways that we can use these. And that larger piece I am going to be using on a card here in a minute. But I just thought that that was the coolest shape. Okay, so here you can see that I have a lot of my stamps already mounted to clear blocks. Now, when you're getting the Paper Pumpkin kit, you just get the one clear block the one time, and then you just reuse that same block with your additional kits. I cannot recommend enough getting a couple of clear blocks for your collection or considering the clear block bundle because you get a variety of shapes and sizes, and then you can stamp much faster because you have more blocks to work with. If you already have a bunch of clear blocks, that's great, but this is a go-to thing that I do pretty much anytime I create alternates with a Paper Pumpkin kit. I just like having everything laid out and ready to go if I can help it. And then sometimes if I do run out of blocks, like you see here, it wasn't that I ran out of blocks, it was just I was in a different room than my craft room. But it's just easier when you don't have to constantly switch out your stamps. So again, this is more if you're stamping on a regular basis. This is if you've really started having fun and getting into alternate card making with your Paper Pumpkin kit. If you're making the kit cards exactly the way the Paper Pumpkin team designed them, then you may not need all the clear blocks. But once you start really having fun with it and incorporating more than one stamp set, then I would recommend the clear blocks. That is just something that I don't think I mention enough in my videos. And one of the go-to things that I do when it comes to Paper Pumpkin alternate videos is I incorporate tools, meaning that's when you start seeing embossing, die cutting. That's when you see a lot of those clear blocks. You see more colors, right? Those are sort of those things that we're adding in here. Now here, I'm also using a stamp set. The stamp set is called, I believe it is called, I have it right here, hang on, Gone Fishing. So it's the Gone Fishing bundle or the Let's Go Fishing suite from our new annual catalog. And that is the one that says good things come to those who wait. This stamp that I'm stamping right here about adventure is actually from the Paper Pumpkin kit. And I'm stamping this in copper clay. That is that nested essentials die cut that I'm using. And I'm going to be stamping happy birthday on that in boho blue. Now, I will tell you that even though I had the compass, the shoe, and the cup mounted to stamps, I did not get to those alternates in this video. So this video is really going to be more about just a couple of fun card ideas and then some gift packaging ideas. And the gift packaging, the concept that I had in my mind with the gift packaging was we were going to use these in color treat bags as envelopes for our cards, and then we were going to create coordinating tags to go with our cards from the kit. Okay, so yeah, we have a lot of coordinating in color products in this particular round of alternate cards, tags, and bags. But you can also use your twine from whatever Paper Pumpkin kits you've gotten so far, including the twine that comes in this kit, which is in more of like a natural tone. So here, what I'm doing is I'm using a basic white card base. I am using that Moody Mauve layer that we embossed earlier with that twisted rope embossing folder. And now I am taking one of those card images, one of the card front images, and I'm putting that over the layer. Now you could trim this down more so that you could see more of that textured rope embossing if you want, but actually in person you can see the embossing really well, even though there's not much to it. And then here, where we're doing our nested essentials shape, I actually have another piece in Moody Mauve that was cut to the larger piece size. And then also the piece that we just cut from the scene. Now, one of the things that I wanted to do, and I can't remember, but I think it's on one of the alternate cards that the Paper Pumpkin team designed, where they kind of reincorporated die cut pieces of the scene into the card again, where they kind of layered the scene over the scene, basically. And that's what we're doing here. It's not the same scene, right? It's not like cutting the image out and then putting it back in again. It is actually a different scene, but it has like complementary looking, trees and everything. So I thought it looked pretty cool like this. So that was what I chose to do with this particular alternate card. And then we're going to incorporate a sentiment here. I'm going to be using congrats, which actually comes from the kit stamps. And then these were the die cut pieces from the Paper Pumpkin kit. And we're going to use part of this boho blue accent banner here. And we're just going to trim it down to size so that we can fit it in the corner in the grass. And I am going to be stamping congrats in wild wheat ink because I thought there was a really nice pop of the wild wheats, like the yellow, the daffodil delight. You can see just between the background and then the foreground that we just put back in, there's a really nice pop of gold in there. So wanted to kind of have that in the ink as well. So didn't need that whole banner. We're just going to use a section of it and then put it down here in the corner. And then that is one of our alternate cards. I did decide to pop it up on dimensionals. So totally up to you if you want to do that, but this one definitely had some more pop to it. But that is one of our alternate projects. Now here it coordinates with that Moody Mauve treat bag. I'm also using the Moody Mauve jute twine to thread through my tags. And the good things come to those who wait was also stamped in Moody Mauve. So you could do whatever color combination you want, but I really like the way that this little trio worked out. And so my thought was I would use this envelope and I would use this bag in place of an envelope, and then we would pop a gift in there too. So if you were giving somebody a gift card, I was showing these cards to Patrick, and he actually had the idea to put a fishing license in there, which I thought was so clever. He said it's like about the size of a business card. I don't personally fish, he does, so I don't really know what they look like, but I thought that was such a nice idea, and it's a good idea for him actually. So I thought I would mention that to all of you, and that might be a gift that you get them every year, and it would fit perfectly in this card, in this bag, or even if you made a custom gift card. I would probably put this on dimensionals and pop it right onto the front of the bag, but I left it loose for the sake of this video. Okay, so here what you're seeing are tags that I cut from the other two envelopes. So there were 3 different theme envelopes in your Paper Pumpkin kit. One was like a mountain scene, one was like a rolling hills scene, and then the one that we actually cut on camera. But I didn't want to leave that annoying little mute sign up like for all of that. So I figured you guys got the gist of it. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add some sentiments to these tags. And so I just wanted to quickly show you this process. I didn't create a coordinating bag and tag for every single thing, but I wanted to show you how well all of these different sentiments fit on the tags. So again, this is a combination of the Gone Fishing stamp set phrases where Happy Father's Day, so glad that you're my dad. Those are both from Gone Fishing. This one that's a little more script font looking, that one is from the Paper Pumpkin kit for May. And then also, let's see which other ones I stamp. I think I have the Good Things Coming to Those Who Wait. That one is from Gone Fishing. just to clarify. And then just ignore me. I do that layering over layer all the time. I just wanted to coordinate the smaller tags with the larger scene tags. I just thought that they were so pretty together. So you could always do, layered tags. It doesn't have to just be one, but there's that Good Things. That one is from Gone Fishing. And I think the last one might be from Gone Fishing too. We'll see in just a minute. I can't remember which ones I stamped. The Happy Birthday sentiment that's stamped up on the Nested Essentials, that is actually from the Paper Pumpkin kit. So I did use a lot of the Gone Fishing sentiments on these tags, and what a great combination they are with this Paper Pumpkin kit, I have to say. So if you have any of our nature-themed stamp sets, like Wildlife Wonder or Grassy Grove, or Mountain Air was all images. It didn't actually have greetings in it, but any of our prior Paper Pumpkin kits that have these nature themes to them, anything like that, you could very easily mix and match those with this. Even the one that I just did, Coffee with Friends, I paired that with the add-on cards when I had the add-on cards, but I didn't have the kit yet. And even those sentiments would be great, just depending on what you're looking for. If you need graduate, just depending on whatever, you could use Charming Sentiments. There's so many different options that you can put on these tags, but what a great way to repurpose those envelopes and take advantage of this pre-printed artwork that they have on here. I did receive a comment from somebody that it was such a great point. She had said that she was afraid that the add-on cards looked a little too commercial, but that by adding just a few little pops here and there, with the people from the Coffee and Friends set, she felt like that really humanized it and it made it look more handmade. And I think that that's exactly like a great way to describe what we're doing here. We are using these pre-printed images, but we're adding all of those handmade touches that you just wouldn't get anywhere else. This is the Happy Retirement. That is from Gone Fishing, and Congrats is from the Paper Pumpkin stamp set. So many different ways that you can incorporate these die cuts from the kit, the banners from the kit, the scenery, the imagery, the envelopes. You can repurpose all of it and turn it into these incredible alternates. You are going to have so much fun with this Paper Pumpkin kit, I promise. And if you have the two from stamps from any of our other, gifting sets or stamp sets, just pop a to and from on the back, or you can hand write it in if you want. I'm just adding a compass here over the one image. I can't remember if I ended up putting the binoculars on, but I'm going to show you a really fun way to incorporate Gone Fishing with these nature scenes with the cards here and with the tag coming up in just a minute. But yeah, so these are some ideas for the tags for you. And then if you do want to add pops of the in color dots, you could do that too. I'm just, what I like to do is sort of lay down the different colors on the white and see which one I like best, and then you can add those. But if they are, for the guys in your life and you don't want to have like shiny embellishments on there, that's fine. But I do think that the dots, they're not frilly. They're not super fancy. Like, they're clean. They really coordinate well with these themes. They don't overdo in terms of looking too glossy of an embellishment. You can wrap your twine. That was just another idea that I had for the tags. So just whatever you're comfortable with there. But those are some ideas for gift tags for you in case that is something that you are looking for. Okay, so here I created, this is a combination of the Paper Pumpkin card in a tag and then the Gone Fishing. So if you have the Gone Fishing bundle, or if you have the Let's Go Fishing suite, you have the stamps and the dies. And with the dies is this really cool, there's actually two of them. There are two different sizes of this like rippled water. And I was able to fussy cut a fish out of the Let's Go Fishing Designer Series paper. and pop it right in there with the die. So I'll show you guys how I did that. This is that Gone Fishing stamp set that I have been referencing. I did not use any of the stamped imaging from Gone Fishing. I really just used it mainly for the phrases and the sentiments to go with the paper pumpkin nature themes here. But this is the card that we are going to cut in half and then turn into this scene image. Now, what I did decide to do was create a slightly different version of the card that did not include a tag. But if you like layered tag looks on your card, you could do this version of it too. So it's totally up to you. I ended up doing 2 versions of the card. So this particular fish doesn't have a coordinating die, but there's a different fish on this paper that does. So you could use the die cut fish if you don't like to fussy cut, or you can use this fish if you do, or if you don't mind fussy cutting. This paper is fabulous. If you have any other papers that have the fish, then use that. Those are the dies that I'm referring to that create this rippled water effect, and we're going to have our fish pop out of it. So that's what we're going to do here. And then you're going to see me, I'm going to take this like ripple die image. Now I decided not to use the image with the canoe. I decided to go with the image here, which is really just the water, because I thought that this would blend better. I thought this would look more natural. So I put this up closer to the dark water ripples, and I wanted to try to make it center. And then we're going to die cut that little ripple die right into the paper. So you'll see what I mean by it cuts the image into and not a full piece out of. So we have certain dies that cut out an entire shape, and then we have certain dies that cut in a shape or a pattern into paper. And that's what this particular die does. This cuts into paper. It's very subtle, but it is such a cool technique for this card. I hope that you guys like this. It's a little bit of an interactive card, but very, very basic. It's not very complicated. So it's hard to see here, but I'm going to try to get it up close to the screen. Can you see that? You can see the way that it's cut that rippled water pattern in there. But if you look from behind, you can see it actually cut like a slice in with that die. And that's what we're going to use to pop our fish like it's coming out of the water. And I have to say, I really liked the dimension, or what am I trying to say, like foreground, background, the perspective. I thought that the size of the fish was appropriate for the size of the scene. And that's kind of like a big deal when you're working with these nature scenes. Like you don't want to put a gigantic boat, in a distant scene, because that would look weird. So I thought that this actually looked really nice. This card front has been trimmed down to 4 by 5.25 so that it can become a layer on a basic white cardstock card base. So all of these basic white card bases are the same size. They were cut the same way. And we're just trimming these card bases down to a layering size so it has that nice 1/4 inch border on it. And then I wanted to do the Happy Retirement again, but I decided to do it in a different way on this card. So there are 2 different ways that you can do this. You could do this as a gift tag on a bag. You can put the gift tag onto a scene. So the way that I did it with a card that is over in the corner here was I just kind of popped it into a similar scene. It's not the same exact scene, but on this one, we're going to make it just a little bit different. So this one is just a simple 1 layer. So you can either layer nature scene over nature scene and just have fun with that. Here again, we're kind of going back to the kit where we're using the card front. We're using the die cut from the kit. And then this is actually Pebbled Path ink with the Happy Retirement stamp set from Gone Fishing. And then we're just going to pop that in the top center of this card. So this time the fish will just be popping out of the water as opposed to popping out of the tag. I decided to use the twine from the kit because The twine from the kit is really nice and thin, and I thought that it would look closer to a fishing line than the jute twine. Now, that said, the jute twine, you can actually kind of pull it apart into thinner pieces, but it's much more textured than this one. So I thought this was nice and clean and nice and easy to do in terms of creating that cute little fishing line. So just cut a couple of inches, just enough that whoever your card recipient is, they can actually fish and pull on the string and pull the fish right out of the water if they want. So this layer is going to get popped up onto dimensionals. This is the tear and tape adhesive. I'm just using a small piece of this, and I'm actually going to leave the backing on it because I don't want the fish to stick. I want the fish to be able to move. So we're going to leave that backing on there, but this way it will at least secure the twine. And I'm taping the twine really close to the fish's mouth. So when I was fussy cutting out the fish, there was actually like a defined lip on the mouth of the fish, and the twine is actually coming right out of there. So I tried to get it as close as I could, and my recommendation would be to tape it as close to the mouth as you can, so that it's a little bit more secure and that you can see it coming out of the mouth right there. And then you can just make your string, as short or as long as you want. I just left a couple of extra inches on mine. And then we're going to tuck it into the water here. And the way that we can prevent the fish from coming out of the bottom of the layer is by putting some Stampin' Dimensionals there to try to block it. And as opposed to using the little hexagons, I decided to pull the outer edges so that it's kind of like a longer strip. You could also use foam adhesive strips for this, but I'm out of my foam adhesive strips to create a frame. So I'm just going to, use the edges of my dimensional pack, and that will stand in just fine. And that kind of creates a little bumper so that the fish doesn't pop out of the bottom of the layer. I did not do that with my tag. And so you can see the bottom of the fish out from the bottom of the tag if it gets low enough, like if you push it in far enough. But I don't think that your card recipient is going to be looking that closely. I think they're just going to really enjoy the interactive element of the card. So have fun with this. This is such a cool way to incorporate, but I think if I had to say one thing about the overall theme for the first round of alternate cards from the kit, and then also the add-on, like the accents with the add-on cards that we did, is making minimal changes to the scene, keeping it really about the scene, and then trying to add a playful element into it, such as fishing with the fish, or a girl sitting on a rock, sipping on some coffee, or a bear walking down the nature path. Those are just fun, easy, simple additions into these nature scenes to kind of add those handmade touches and bring some life to the scene. I mean, the scene completely on their own are absolutely gorgeous and stunning. So if you do nothing more than put a sentiment on top of the scene or a greeting on top of the scene, just like the Paper Pumpkin team designed their cards, they're going to be perfect. But these are those fun, playful elements that you can get into to extend the life of your kit. And I'm telling you, by them doing double-sided printed card bases, you could very easily turn 9 cards into 18 cards, or 20 tags, 30 tags, however you want to do it in combination. And so here we are, we're just tucking our fish in, and you can see he's just popping right out of the water. And I really thought, in terms of the size of the fish and the size of the scene and the water, that it all just fit really nicely. And I'm going to pop this Happy Retirement die cut up on dimensionals as well. It just felt right, with having a little bit of dimensional overall with the scene. And then if you would want to trim that down, the twine down, so that it was like still inside the card frame, I think that would be fine. But I had no problem with it actually kind of being off of the card base there, because once we tuck it into the envelope or once we tuck it into the gift bag, it'll be a lot of fun when they start to pull that out and they see that the fish actually moves. I just think that that's so much fun. So I had a lot of fun making these alternates, and I really don't feel like I did much to them. It was just a matter of having some fun with it and trying to figure out ways that I could maintain this scene, but create some simple fun techniques to kind of add into it. So I hope that you like these too. Now I'm going to be, and that is the version where, again, the tag isn't the same exact scene, but I did layer it over water and I did layer it over a different mountain, and it just kind of has this cool layered look to it. So totally up to you. But as I wrap up this video, I realized that I haven't said anything about subscribing to Paper Pumpkin, so I should probably do that, right? If you are not already subscribed to Paper Pumpkin, I have a subscription link in the description box below. The next kit is our June kit, which is called Welcome In. You can find out more information about that kit on my blog if you are interested, or by following the link and going to learn more about Paper Pumpkin. If you are interested in the add-ons, the add-on from May, like I said, if it's still available, I'll have it linked below. There is an add-on for June. The June add-on is actually a set of dies that coordinates with the June Paper Pumpkin stamp set, and I think it's going to be fabulous. So check those out. I'll make sure the information for the June add-on is also available. Just something to know about add-ons, refills, and past Paper Pumpkin kits. You have to be an active Paper Pumpkin subscriber in order to purchase those things. So if you have any questions about that, you can let me know. I would love to hear from you. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you feel, about this month's kit. If this is your first kit, I love hearing that from you too. And again, if you haven't had a chance to get that free project sheet, you can download that free project sheet in the description box below, or by heading over to my blog. I always have all of that information in the description box below. Now, if you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, I would love to have you subscribe. I do Paper Pumpkin videos each month and alternate card ideas, typically each month, unless there's something going on. I also do other card tutorials and things like that, but I do absolutely adore Paper Pumpkin. Now here we are sort of summing up some of our alternate cards, tags, and bags, gift ideas. I would love to hear if you are planning on giving a gift with this month's kit, if you're using this for Father's Day, if you're using this to celebrate an occasion like a birthday or a graduation. If you know somebody who's retiring, are you celebrating somebody who's retiring this year? I would love to hear from you and hear about the different ways that you guys are giving out these cards or these versions with the tags and the gift bags. So thank you so much. If you give this video a like, that lets YouTube and me know that you like to see more videos like this, and I will see you again in the next video. Thank you so much. I will be having some changes coming to my schedule, which I'll talk more about in a different video. But for now, thank you so much, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.